everybody, welcome to Elisa's Art Room. Today we're going to be working on an Essential Stencils project. We are doing a St. Patty's Day theme, and I've got a couple of sets here. We're going to do some fun signs and a stand. Y'all come in and say hi. Let me know you're here. We are live on Facebook. Let's see if I can pull you guys up so I can find the chat. Hey, Nancy. All right. There's that. Okay, so we're going to be using these little bitty canvases. These are canvas panels. I get these from Jerry's ARTROOM. Honestly, you can find them just about anywhere. They're just a flat canvas panel. These are 6x6, and that's what I'm going to be using today. I am also going to be using some Crafter's Square wood planks, and I get these from Dollar Tree. They are 7.1 by 2.8 inches, and any piece of thin wood will work. If you can't find these, they sell the hobby type wood in both Hobby Lobby and Michael's. And you can just buy a bigger piece, cut it down, whatever you need. But you just need a thin piece of wood. And then I'm using some, they don't come in this, by the way. I'm using some of these Jenga blocks. And I get these from Dollar Tree. So, and I just buy them and throw them in this container. I'm almost out. About time to buy some more. So, you can get those, and they're smaller than traditional Jenga game. I don't know what they call them. They don't call them that, but they're usually in the toy section. And you can also get them in bulk on their website, which is what I usually just do. But hey, Angela. All right, so I am going to pick a couple of from these sets. I'm only going to do probably two, but I'll pick one from that set, and then I'll pick one from this set. Any of these will work fine. Any of your 6x6s, honestly, would work fine for this project, but I figured I'd do a St. Patty's, seeing how that's next weekend. So we might as well do it now. All right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to, let's see, I got a few people on here. I'm going to go ahead and pull the camera up top so we can get started on this. So just bear with me while I do the switch. All right. That should be good. I'm debating if I might zoom in just a little bit. Get this to zoom for me just a little. I'll put some tape down though so I don't get out of frame. Hey Dorothy. This is just to hopefully remind me to stay in frame. I think my sides are fine, but we'll stick one there. Marker at. There it is. Okie dokie. If I don't do that, I'll forget, and then who knows what y'all will be watching. All right, so step one, get your canvas. These are pre-primed, as most canvases are nowadays. They are 6x6, like I said, and I get them from Jerry's ARTROOM. I've seen them at Dollar Tree. I don't know what the quality is like, because honestly, I've never bought them there, because I just buy them in bulk from Jerry's. But just need something like this. You can even use a little. If you didn't have something like this, you could use a chalkboard and do a version of this, but it will fit in the stand that I'm going to do today. Something like that would work. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, those little chalk ones that you get at Dollar Tree. So if you can't find a canvas, I'll show you one just so you know. Got some here. Something like this will work. You won't be able to paint on it like I'm going to do, but you could do just a white version on it, or even a light green. So that's just an option for you. But I think it's going to be cute. I'm going to do it in some greens and some whites. So our first step is to paint this with a solid color. So grab me a paintbrush. I think I'll just use this one because it's the only one I see handy. All right, and I'm going to use some sap green. And you could also use thickets if you can't find sap green. Thicket's almost identical. It's close. Sap green's slightly darker. This is Folk Art Multi-Surface Satin Paint. They changed their bottles recently, so I feel like that's the new one. So, but I do like the sap green. I'm trying to see if I have another one here. I'm almost out of this one. I don't know. It's probably my extra paint if I do. I think I have enough for the project, but it doesn't take a lot. I do have to do 2 panels, so actually I'm going to paint them both at the same time because we're going to do 2. And I should put down something to paint on. So I'm just going to use this little silicone mat. You can use just some craft paper or something, but have that handy. And just a little bit. We just want a little bit of a coat on. Well, I'm doing 2. I better do twice that. All right. Thank you for sprinkling, Dorothy. I appreciate that. I don't think I've missed any comments. Oh, hey, Miriam. I didn't see you. And Patty is watching. And Shirley is watching. All right. So I'm just going to spritz this canvas with a little bit of a fine mist water. It just helps your paint to go on a little bit smoother. And you can wet your brush in some water and just wipe it off. And then we're going to dip into our paint. And we're just going to put a coat of green on here. It really doesn't have to be perfect because it's kind of going to be a background color. So we're just putting a coat of green. Get your sides because you will see the sides. You could even paint the back of this if you wanted. You'll have to wait for, you know, the front part to dry and everything, but you could paint the back of it. I'm just trying to lightly get rid of those strokes a little bit. They won't show too much though. Really thin. All right, so let me see, where can I set that? I locked myself in. Hold on. Just grab a piece of paper. Got a small one here. All right, I'm just going to slide that over for a second. Put that one down. Spritz that one more time. And another coat of paint. This paint is thick, which is why I also spritz it, because it is very thick. At least this sap green, Folk Art's pretty thick to start with, but this sap green I think is an older bottle and it's getting a little bit thick. Okay, so I'm just trying to, can't see that top, but I think I got it. And if you miss anything, you can touch it up later, so don't freak out about it. So we're about to put something else on top of here. This coat was a little thin. I'm just gonna, and then I'm gonna dry both of these. I might have put too much water. All right, so that's all we want. It's just a base coat it's kind of darker, and then we're going to put something over the top of it too. So After that, you want to rinse out your brush. I like to wipe my brushes out before I rinse them. That helps them to clean better. So see how it's not all the way down to the ferrule there? I don't want the paint getting into the ferrule because it makes... Am I frozen? My iPad, let me see. My iPad's still going. It's my phone that's frozen. Goodness gracious. Let me refresh that so I can see what's going on. All right. So I like to pull away from that. That takes most of that paint out of there and gets it out of the going into the ferrule. And then when you clean it, it just cleans much easier, and you don't have such a buildup in your ferrule. And the ferrule is just that metal part of the brush. Okay, and then you can rinse it and you're ready to go. All right, so there's that. Let's hit this with the blow dryer. Yeah, I think, Dorothy, it's my phone. I was using my Kindle and my phone because none of them, for whatever reason, my iPad keeps it single good, but my iPhone and my Kindle, neither one will keep their single in this house. I don't know why. I tried not using cellular. I tried using cellular and just Wi-Fi, you know, instead, and it was just like, nothing's working. So we're just going to dry this. It'll dry fast because it's thin. All right, enough of that. So let's see. Now we're going to, my edge is still wet. Hold on, just get that off of there. All right, now we're going to add some kind of like splotches over the top. Let me just clean my hand off real quick. All right, so I'm using a sea sponge, and you can get these at your hobby stores. The natural color works better than the orangey color. If you see the orangey color, they tend to get really super soft and they don't work as well. Look for the more natural colors when you're buying your sea sponges, guys. Trust me. Me and Dawn both bought the ones from Hobby Lobby that were the orangey color, and we almost threw them all away because they were so bad. Which is just unusual. I had never got one that got that soft before. So I dampened it with the water, and then I kind of just squeezed it out. So it's just damp. No, you don't want it soaking wet. And now we're going to mix up a little bit of a lighter color. Or is it a darker? Oh, I think I just used the same color. I'm trying to remember what I did, guys. I did it last night and I can't remember. I think I just used the sap green. So we'll try that and see how it looks. It's hard to tell when you look at your splotches on a canvas. It's hard to tell whether the dark color or the light color is the splotch that you put on second. Okay, so like that. So we're just adding these little splotches for some texture. So it just looks prettier. And this is why you don't want your sponge too wet. If it was too wet, these would just like all really blend together and be kind of mushy. We don't want them mushy. All right, so there's one. It's a very quick finish that's very pretty. At least I think it's pretty. I don't know. It's pretty to me. And very easy. I could have used a little more paint, but I think I'm okay. All right. so there we have a finish on there that is not just plain. And you want to make sure that you wash out your sponge immediately. Do not leave paint in it or you won't be able to use it again. Okay? And even if that means just dropping it in the water, okay? I'm going to actually try to squeeze it out just a little bit. It is messy, so wear gloves if you don't want paint all on your fingers. Okay, so I just clean it out some, and then I'll wash it better in water later. I don't use soap usually on them. You could. It's not going to hurt them as long as you rinse them well, but it's not necessary. They'll stain over time, but it's not a big deal. They work just as well. Okay, so now we have our surfaces. This will just wash off with water. I'm not going to do it right now. It's just silicone. Okay, so we have two surfaces. They need dried. So we're going to hit those real quick. They're slightly different. That one's a little dark. Doesn't really matter. Get some variation. Couple of peaks there that weren't drying. All right, so you can see the variation you get. So the thinner you put your first coat down, put this coat down a little thicker, and so you don't get as mottled of a look as that one. Either's fine. It's just, you know, it is what it is. So we're going to show you how to do this. Keep warping my mat, drying on it. Flatten back down. Oh, okay, let's pick something. Now, I already did one just to check it out with this one, and I'll show you that one at the end. So we're going to pick a different one. I think I'm going to use this one. I like that one. And for the other one, now you can use my code ARTROOM to buy your stencils at Essential Stencil. If you use my code ARTROOM, there's also a link in the description. It'll get you 10% off your purchase, so keep that in mind. I guess I should keep it on camera. All right, let's see. What do we want for the second one? Irish Kisses and Shamrock Wishes. Could even do just a jar. Just a wee bit Irish. And there's a pretty plaid shamrock. The Luckiest. And Lucky and Blessed. I like them all. Debating which one I want to display. I think I'm going to do this one. Okay. So this set, the Luckiest has 6 stencils in it. And then the coffee one has 3. So if you see a difference in price when you're looking at it, that's why. All right, so we want to tape this down so it doesn't move on us. So I'm going to use some blue tape. Just going to refresh this one more time and make sure I haven't lost any comments. Looks okay. All right, so just get it where you want it. Now, do keep in mind, I'm going to use a stand on this. The stand is going to come up a little bit on the bottom, so I don't want to have this exactly on the bottom because I'll lose the words there because they are so close on this one. On this one, you probably wouldn't have to worry about it because it's a little higher. but this one we will. So I'm going to move this one up and try to, as much as I can without losing the top of that whipped cream there. So I'm just going to pull it up a little bit, just to where it's just below that, and that'll give me enough room. And then I'm just going to tape to this, and I'm going to tape around this edge just a little bit. I don't think it's going to make it pop because it is pretty close to being, it's popping just a little. Sometimes when you tape around an edge, you get a pop. Of what happens is because you're lifting it and there's a lip there, it's pushing that lip down and it will make your stencil raise. If that's happening, if you have something that is just the same height as what you're working on, you can lay that next to it and tape to that. Now, a lot of times with this type of stuff, I will just use a piece of cardboard. I'm trying to see if I have one handy. I did have a whole stack of them here, but I'm probably not going to use it, but just I want to show you. So just a piece of cardboard. That should be about the same height, and then you can just tape to the cardboard. And you won't get that pop, that little bit of a pop. And by pop, I mean it raising. And then I usually do tape my cardboard down so it doesn't move as well. Okay, hope that makes sense. So we're going to do a couple of colors on here. I want to do a light green. So I'm going to use, we're going to use this bright green. There's several colors of green in folk art. There's also a lime green that's pretty. What else is there? There's more of a, what I would call a Kelly green. They're classic green, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of, this is almost kind of Kelly green, really. But pick a green. I might even lighten it up just a fraction with some white. So we're going to use white and green. I think I'm going to put I might put the white first because I don't have to clean the stencil in between. If I put the green first, I'm going to have to pull the stencil off and clean it, because when I put the white down, it's going to pick up my green and it's going to turn light green, okay? But in this particular circumstance, if I put the white down first, and then when I go to do my lighter green, I don't really care if it picks up the white because I'm going to mix white with this anyway. So I won't have to do that extra step. Does that make sense? So we're going to start with white, and I'm going to do the letters and stuff. So sometimes you have to kind of think about the colors you're doing and how they're going to affect, because the colors will pick up off of the stencil when you put other colors down. So you may have to pull it off and realign it and put it back on and dry everything, because basically the wet paint reactivates any dry paint on here. Okay, unless it's been dried on there for like, you know, a week or something. If you left it on there and it's been dry for a week, it ain't going to reactivate. But while you're stenciling, it will definitely reactivate. All right, just a little bit of white. We're going to use wedges today. You could also use a stencil brush. It's up to you. I like wedges. Stencil brush like this from Essential Stencil will work. But I do like the look of a wedge. It's a little flatter look. So I'm going to use a wedge. These are just Target up and up wedges. I use them over and over again. I just wash them in water. So we're going to use a wedge. And like I said, I want to do I'm going to do the letters. This one's going to be a little complicated. Leave it to me to pick one that's complicated. We're going to do the letters in white, and then the shamrocks in light green, the coffee mug white. So all of the shamrocks are going to be the light green. I really don't care if I get white on that though, because like I said, I'm going to do them a light green and it will be fine. So I'm not going to stress about it. I'm just going to not tape it off right now and go ahead and just do the white. And if I hit some of that area, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so when loading your paint onto your wedge, you want to dip just a little bit on there, and then you want to offload. Okay, now I know you can't really see how well you're offloading on this, so sometimes you can just use a darker piece of cardboard or something I try to keep scrap cardboard around. I don't really have a darker piece, do I? Let me see if I can find a dark one in here. No. Well, I just wanted to show you. So you can just offload on something that you can see how much you're leaving. That's going to turn brown on me because it's got distress ink or something on it. I'm just going to grab another wedge. I turned that one brown. But you get the idea. So offload on something, whether it be your paper plate or a piece of cardboard. That's up to you. I do sometimes like just using a piece of cardboard. But like I said, this is white cardboard, so it's hard to see. All right, we're just going to go ahead and start adding our paint. Now, I am not pushing hard, guys. I know I've talked about this, but when you're using a wedge, you're just barely pushing it, okay? You're not pushing it all the way down like that. Don't do that. If you do that, you're likely to get more bleed. So just push it a little bit, little light taps. And the more you tap it, the more coverage it'll get. Like I said, I'm not going to stress about hitting those shamrocks because it just means they'll go on lighter. And we want light green anyway. If you're worried about hitting that, tape it off. I'm going to try to avoid it. It is a little close though, so. I'm just going to put one light coat on here and then we'll go back and do another coat. Like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and hit these shamrocks just a little bit, because that will give me a lighter green anyway. I don't have much paint on there. Reload. Didn't tape up here, so I'm having to hold it just a little bit because it is popping. It's usually not too big of a deal. It'll just lay right back down where it was usually. But just hold it with your finger. You can roll tape and put underneath it, but I just usually don't like to do that because it does raise it just a little bit. And this will be a little more challenging when we go to do these shamrocks. We're going to have to tape some, but we could possibly use cardboard. We'll see. Sometimes you can use little pieces of cardboard. Just kind of depends. Hopefully everybody's having a good Sunday. It's so pretty here today. I don't know what the temperature is. I haven't been outside, but I'm guessing it's high 60s at least. It did get really cold well, really cold for us. It got down to like, I don't know, maybe 40, and it's been almost in the 70s here. And it got down cold last night again, but then it warmed right back up today. But it's spring for us here in Georgia. We're pretty much past our cold season, pretty much. I say that, but the worst blizzard I ever experienced here in Georgia was actually on, I believe it was like March the 18th. What year was that? 2002, 3? No, it had to be earlier than that. Oh yeah, it was way earlier than that. That was when my oldest was young. My oldest was like 2. That was like 30 years ago. Wow. So like 1994-ish? It's been a long time. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, guys. But we had like, oh gosh, it was crazy. We had like 18 inches of snow. We never get that much snow here in Georgia. Well, not in this area of Georgia. I had to shovel our deck off twice because we had so much snow. Decks were collapsing like everywhere because people just didn't know because we weren't used to it. It was bad. I forget what they called it. I don't think it might have been snowpocalypse, but I think that was the one that we had a few years back. They always make up these weird names. Snowmageddon, Snowpocalypse. It's funny. So I'm just going over this, making sure I got a good coat on my white areas. I'm not concentrating too much on those shamrocks though. Really am trying to only focus on my letters and my coffee mug. I'm almost gonna, I kind of hate to put tape here, but I feel like I'm not getting that E and the D enough because I'm being too hesitant. Yeah, that's better. Sometimes if you can't come down far enough, it doesn't hit that center where it'll raise a little bit. That's better. All right, I think we've just about got a good enough coat on here. And I can switch to the shamrock color. Now I could just go ahead and do the other one, but I'll do it again. That's fine. I have plenty of wedges. If I was worried about this getting dry, I would just go ahead and do the white on the other one first. But I'm not worried about it because, like I said, I've got hundreds of wedges. I have plenty of them. All right, that looks good. I don't think I missed anything. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump that one in water because I'm done with it. Like I said, I'll just get a fresh one. So we're going to do our greens. Now, I'm going to grab some cardboard. So I keep little pieces of cardstock that I can use to block off. It's sometimes easier than taping. So I wanted to do that little bitty shamrock right there, green. So I'm just going to use this and then I can hit it and not have to tape it. It's really, really close right there. And then if you end up with a bunch of pieces, you can tape your pieces. I'm going to try to find a clean spot on that. Oh, froze again. Am I back? I think I'm back. Okay. So we're just going to put down some of this bright green. This is a pretty green. You don't need much. And we're going to load. Switch that around and offload. Okay, and then make sure that I've got that hitting everything else and try not to get that. There's a one little loop of whipped cream really super close. I'm gonna try to avoid it. It's going to be lighter than my other one, I think. That's okay. The other one I didn't do let the white hit the shamrocks, but you'll see that later. All right, so same thing here. Just gonna try to hit there and there. Okay, that little shamrock. Now it's going to give me a little bit of a variation, which is kind of nice because it's got some of the white on it and then some darker areas, so it'll kind of look like shading, which is kind of like a plus. Not really a planned thing, but it does work. So block off that one. Now, I'm not worried about these being dry. They're not super thick. If you are worried about hitting it or laying this on it, just be sure that you don't lay wet paint back on anything, good. Just kind of check the backs every now and then. But I think I'm fine. So I'm going to do this one. Let's see if we can block it off. I think I can. I think I could just block it. Awesome. There we go. Okay, and then we got the little one right there below it. Make sure it's dry. It's a little bit wet. This one will be a little more challenging. I'm going to use this curved bit. If you cut different shapes, it just helps you get around things. And you can also tape it, but taping's a little more challenging on something small like this. So if you can block it off this way, try that first. All right, there's a little shamrock. And we got one here. This one, I'm just going to use the point. Now, this is a difficult one to hold, so what I'll do is I'll line up my point, get it to where it needs to be, grab a piece of tape that I don't have pulled off. Yeah, I'll pull pieces of tape off and sit them on your table. And then you can just grab them with one hand and not have to release what you're holding. All right, so I'm going to line that up where I want it. And then I'm going to tape these two together. And then I'm going to get my next one and line that up. Tape these two together. Now it'll be easier for me to hold it in place. Just make sure I didn't move. I did. I should have taped that last one too. That's all right. I'll hold it with my finger. A little better offloading on that. If you make a tap and you're not seeing a kind of a speckled look like that, and you're seeing more solid, you didn't offload enough. So go back and offload a little more. Okay, let's see how that looks. All right, on over here, so we'll just do the same kind of thing. Find that point. See if I can line that up. Line that up. There we go. Sometimes there's plenty of paint left on, sometimes there's not. All right, and a little shamrock. And we're almost done with our little shamrock. That one's still very wet. I'm going to switch to this one because that one's where that tip was, it was just super wet. Sometimes it's easier if you just tape them down, because then you can hold one hand in one spot and not be trying to hold, like, 6 different fingers in different places. But it's a lot easier than taping all the way around the little shamrock. I'm just going to do that. I should be able to just pick this up and pull it over here. Okay, there we go. This top one is just a little bit light. For some, I think I had a more white paint there. I'm just going to hit that one more time so it's not quite so faint. It's very faint. That's better. Okay. All right. So there is that. Keep all of our little pieces of cardboard for the next one. I'm going to put my tape back on the table. Clean my fingers because I have paint everywhere. You get paint on your fingers when you hold down the stencil, guys. So this is just a wet microfiber cloth. You can use a wash rag if you don't like the feel of microfiber. These don't bother me at all. It's going to be a while before I get to this one, so I'm just going to dip it in water and I'll grab a fresh one. I dip them in water so the paint doesn't harden on them, because if the paint hardens on them, you're not cleaning them. It ain't coming off. It's on there forever. All right, there are some little sprinkles there. I didn't notice that till just now, so I think I want to do those green. Let's see if I can do that. I'll just grab, I've got some little ones. These are cut in circles. I keep smaller ones. You could also use a small stencil brush. But I just cut them. When they get old, what I'll do a lot of times is I'll go ahead and cut them, because then I get more wear out of them, so to speak. And I just cut them with scissors. But then you can get into smaller areas easier. I'm still going to cover it with the cardboard, but it'll help a little bit. I'm going to do these sprinkles green. I didn't even see them until just now. This is going to be a little bit challenging because I got like that lines of the whipped cream in there too. So we're just going to go around what we can. Where's that curved one? There it is. All right, put my tape on there. And load me up some green paint on my little one here. Get my little sprinkles. Okay. And then we'll hit the next batch of sprinkles. Let's see. Don't think I can get those two. We'll do these two. Can I just fit that in there? Maybe if it's just a little bit over. No, it's not. Needs to be separated. There, I got it. That's just a sprinkle right there, so that's fine. Okay, and there's three more. All right, so one there. Where's that curve? The curves do come in very handy. One there. Still going to have to do two more. All right, one more sprinkle. Sprinkles are challenging, guys. Sprinkle. All right, and there's one more. Right there, and there. Okie dokie. If you don't want to do all that tedious moving around, you could just use a little bitty brush like this and just get into those areas just like that. This is an Essential Stencil detail brush. Okay, I have like 6 different sizes in the pack. Either will work. Just make sure you offload it pretty well. Don't put too much paint on it. Okay, I think we got everything I want to get different colored. All right, let's try it and see what it looks like. So you can lift one side. I have a smooth speaking voice. People have told me that before. That's good. That works well for lives, right? All right. I think we are good. You can still see a little of the white on the edges of the shamrocks because I did hit it with white first, and sometimes that does happen. You won't get that if you don't hit it with white first. But it's not a big deal. It can just be shadowing. All right. So that is the finished look. I think it's cute. Very, very St. Patty's looking. All right, let me show you that up close. Okay, and you see just a little bit of variation that you get when you do hit it with just a little bit of white. You do get some subtle shading going on there, as opposed to hitting it with a solid light green. All right, so there's that one. Let's jump over to the next one. I'm just going to tape this board so it doesn't move. Now this one, like I said, I think I have enough room. I'm going to check my other one just to see how much room I need. About 1/2 inch. Not even 1/2 inch. Okay. You basically need, here, I'll show you exactly what you need. You need the length of this plus that little bitty board that you're going to put on. So you just want to make sure that you've got enough room there. And you'll see why in a minute. But I've got enough room with this one lined up just like it is. So I don't have another piece of cardboard, so we're just going to tape around the edge. Like I said, taping around the edge can be tricky. It's if you don't have something to put down, just do it real loose. Like put it solid on the top piece, but then just come around the corner loose and don't let it push that area down, and you'll be better off. Okay, so we just don't want it to move. I'll show you how to clean that in a second. Is that dry? This one's wet still. All right, I'm gonna put that one in water because it's gonna dry out before I get to it. And we're gonna go back to our white color, which I need more paint. Just a little probably. And I might, debating if I have room on this card. I think I do. For my offloading. All right, so what is that? There's like a line there. I can't tell what it is. I'm half blind, so I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just showing through underneath or something. It's weird. It almost looks like there's like a connector right there and right there, but there's not. I don't know what it is. All right, so the hat. Hat. I feel like the hat should be a lighter green. I don't think white. I think a lighter green. So the letter's white for sure. Maybe even these. I could even do white and green. Maybe white on the outside and one green on the middle. I could do that too. That might look cute. So maybe I'll do that. All right, so I'm going to mostly concentrate on the letters. And then I think I'll do the, let's see, of those little dashes, those little splashes, I guess. I don't know what they are. A wee bit. And I'm going to put just, I'll probably hit maybe just a tiny bit on this shamrock just because it'll lighten it up for us. Not much. I'm going to try to keep that kind of subtle. All right, so a bit. Whew, I didn't offload good enough. See how heavy that is? It's too heavy. It probably won't bleed, but it could. Do try to make sure you're offloading. If you have a darker piece of cardboard, guys, you'll be able to tell easier than on white. White on the white cardboard is very tricky to tell how much you're offloading. Sometimes I'll hit the plastic to see, and I didn't think to do that, so I think we're okay, but I did go too heavy there. All right, so I said that hat's going to be green, so I'm not going to hit too much on it. I am going to hit a little bit. It's a really light dust. So I used it last once it was, the paint was almost out. So I just hit that just a little. And if you want any shading, you can hit areas more. It's kind of up to you, but I'm not going to do that shamrock too much. Let's see if I can get that little tip there. Okay. And then what did I say? The outside ones, I think. I think that'll look cute. All right. Okay, let's hit that again. Make sure we got a good coat. Now, anywhere, if you're real worried and you don't want to hit your shamrock too much, just throw a piece of cardboard down. You know, if I'm super worried about not hitting something, I will do that. Like this hat, I don't want too much of that hat white because I do want to keep it a nice green. So you can use your cardboard like that too. Does sometimes make it easier when you're avoiding stuff. Somebody's down in the kitchen making all kinds of noise. I don't know if y'all can hear it or not. Cooking or something. Try not to hit that. this will be cute with the two different colors there. So just keep going back over it. Usually by the time you get to the other side, the top will be dry again. If it's not dry and your paint's coming off, what will happen is if I hit paint on here and it's getting lighter instead of darker, then that paint that was down wasn't dry, and it basically starts reactivating it and picks it up. So let it dry. If that starts happening, just stop and dry it with the blow dryer or something, or give it a few more minutes. Time to reload. All right, almost got the white on here. If I want anywhere else to be just a lighter green, like I don't want that to be that dark green, so we are going to just really lightly hit it. Really lightly hit that. Maybe even that one. And then let's see. We'll make the top part a little bit lighter than the bottom part. That little spot there, I might go almost white, so I'm going to hit that with just a little bit more on that very tip. That little shadow highlight thing. Highlight. All right, let's see. Make sure I'm covered. I think I am good. Debating on these. They still look a little bit light. Well, a little bit green. Not a little bit light. Okay, I think that's good. So put that one in water because I'm done with it. I'm going to grab me another one, and we're going to switch to our green color. And we're going to be doing a stand for this too, so that there's a way to hang it. Now you could also just stick a string on the back of it and glue it to it. It will work just fine. You can also make a frame with Jenga blocks. I've done frames for these. I did a Christmas set. If anyone wants to see that video, let me know and I'll link it to you. But I show you how to do a frame with the Jenga blocks on that video. I don't remember how long ago it was. It's been a while. I feel like not last Christmas, but maybe the Christmas before. All right, where did my little papers go? So cover that and that. Green color. This is so much quicker than having to tape everything off, I'll tell you that. A lot quicker. Okay. This one's really close. Let's see if we can get in there. I have to get creative with this one. There's still a little piece there, but I think I can just stick tape over it. And what else is there? There's the hat. there's also that little green shamrock there, but that's green, so it'll be fine. All right. Just double checking. I think I'm okay. I think what I'm going to do is hit that little highlight with my brush, because I do want it just slightly lighter. It'll be a little lighter anyway because there's dark green underneath it, but it will be better to be just a tiny bit lighter, I think. Although since it is the dark green, it may show up much lighter than I think it will. We'll see. I might take a peek at it. See. All right, so I'm just trying to get this tape on my table so I have it. All right, so is that all? Any more shamrocks? No. I think I got them all. Okay, so I'm going to peek at that. So by peeking, you want to take off one side. Try not to move anything else. So what I'm going to do is just kind of move my tapes over. And then I'm going to hold this side down and just lift it up and look and see. Wow, I really did not offload well there at all. I have so much bleed. It's even under my stencil. I did a horrible job of offloading. All right. I think I am going to touch that up with my brush. That one little shamrock's really hard to see too. So what I'm going to do is just grab me my little detail brush. I'm just going to load a little bit of a light green on it with some white and the green. Just a little. I don't want it super wet. Okay, and I'm just going to come in and just tap that little highlight. I'm also going to just tap this little clover. Tapping it, and then I may end up using I think I'm going to put a line there where the hat is, because it's very bleedy because I did not offload well enough. And when you're dealing with these little bridge areas, let me show you what I'm talking about. Get this tape off. All right, you see how this bridge area is? It's very loose. So you really got to watch offloading on those type of areas because they'll move on you. And that's what I didn't catch. And so I did get a little bit of bleed there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch it up. So I'm just going to take my little detail brush, like I just did with that clover. Just heavy enough to where I can draw a line with it. So if you don't know what that means, you just want to be able to, I'm trying to show you, to be able to paint a line. If it stops and it drags too much, you don't have enough water. So just take yourself a little spritz of water, put it somewhere on your plate, and just grab some of that water that you just put down. And that's going to thin that out. I'm going to add a little more paint because it's kind of thin. You just want to be able to drag it enough to draw a line. All right. And I'm just going to draw a line where this hat, see, it's still, this is canvas too, so it has to be wetter because it's canvas. Let me get a little more paint. You'll know if it's not wet enough. You'll figure it out as soon as you start trying to draw a line. And it's also, these don't go as far as a longer brush because there's just, you can't put much paint on them. Okay, but we can just slowly work our way into this little thing. We're just filling in that little spot on the hat because I think it's just going to look better if I just kind of draw that on there like that. Okay, and that just gives it a little cleaner look, I think. Now this top of the hat looks, it looks hollow right now because of that dark green underneath there. So I'm going to do the same thing, I think, with this green and white color. I might lose the highlight, so I might just put it back whiter. But I want, it doesn't make sense right now because I didn't paint underneath it a lighter color. And it's so dark, it's just disappearing. So I am going to touch that one up. And then I may or may not add that highlight back in. Just make sure I get in this canvas holes. They're a little bit challenging. It's different than painting on wood. Alright, but that's good enough. It looks like a hat now. It doesn't look like a hollow spot. I'm going to wash that out, and I am just going to add another highlight. Just a fraction. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of white. The drop of the green in it. It doesn't have to be completely white or green. So we'll just do a medium kind of mix. Actually, it's not wet enough. Hold on. Get a little more water in there. Okay. And we're just going to put that little kind of half moon circle on there. Just like that. Just for a highlight. You could put your stencil back on and do it if it makes you nervous, but it's not that hard. That's cute. I think that'll work. Okay. Wash out my brush. Set it aside so I can wash it properly. And we are good. So let me show you what that looks like in case you can't see it. Just, I'm froze on my, hold on. My thing is froze again. Let me come back. All right, let me see if I can get y'all load up. I'm still live on my iPad. It's just my phone. No, think you've been commenting, but I can't tell because, here, let me look at my iPad chat. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. Oh my goodness, it still froze. Come on, phone. Why are you being such pain? Okay, there. Finally. All right, let me pull it up now. Okay. So that's what I did with the hat. I could even go lighter on that highlight if I wanted, but I think it's cute. It just shows up a little bit better than it did. Like I said, it looked a little hollow, so we don't want a hollow hat. That makes no sense. All right, put that in water. So I have all my little wedges in water for washing later. Clean off my fingers because they are a mess, and we're going to do our stand. So the stand is fun. It's going to take me just a little bit, but I have one pre-dried, so. Oh my goodness, I have so much paint on my fingers. Okay, so let's get these over here. I'm going to show you how to clean real quick for those who don't know, in case you're new. So you just want to have a surface that you don't mind getting paint on. I have like this gator board. Gator board is basically like foam core, except it has a plastic coating. But you could use whatever surface you guys have. But I'm going to show you with this. A wet microfiber cloth will work. You can just kind of scrub off the paint. Now, when it's been sitting this long, it's a lot of work to do it this way. You do have to watch points. Points, you go toward the point, okay? Don't go that way or it'll bend up that point because it's loose, okay? But I just stick my finger in there. Now, this paint's really on there because it's totally dry. Okay, and you can clean them like that if you want. You can soak them in water. You can use Awesome Spray, which is a Dollar Tree cleaner that I can't stand the smell of personally. But you can do that. Sometimes just spritzing them with water and letting that set for a minute will work to help kind of loosen everything up. Do be careful if your paint has dried like this and you're cleaning them in the sink though, because you're going to get a lot of flakes of paint and you don't want that to build up in your sink and plug up your plumbing. So either put a mesh strainer down or something like that if you're going to clean them that way. Now, you can also use a alcohol on this. Alcohol will basically dissolve this paint right off. So I usually just put a paper towel underneath, and then I use alcohol swabs. I don't spray the alcohol because it puts too many fumes in the air, and it's alcohol, guys. Don't be breathing it. To ventilate if you're doing a bunch of these. Usually I don't do enough that it's an issue. You know, no more than working on a, cut or something. So wet alcohol thingy, and it will just literally dissolve the paint right off of there. You do have to kind of be a little careful with your points because sometimes they'll snag on this material, but just, work around that. Try not to bend anything up. The same kind of method. You might want to wear gloves because it is close to your fingers and you're going to get it on your fingers, but it cleans them very quick and easy. Usually it doesn't take too many to do a whole stencil. Okay, so if my paint is sat on and it's really dry and I just don't want to fight with cleaning it with water, I don't like a lot of chemicals, guys, so I usually will just do this. Plus I have like a petroleum allergy, so I have to be careful of things I use. But alcohol does not seem to bother me. So anyway, so you can get it pretty darn clean quick. All right, so that's how I clean them. You always end up with a pattern underneath. And then I just will wipe it down with some water afterwards. Okay? Hey, Dawn. All right, so that's how you clean them. I'm going to set it aside. I'll clean them up later. I get my little alcohol things at Sam's Club, guys. They're so much cheaper there than anywhere else I've found. So if you have like a Sam's Club, maybe a Costco or something, check there. I can get 800 of those for $8. So that's like a penny a piece. All right. All right, just clean off my fingers. All right, so there we go. Let's make our stand. So we need our wood. We need our Jenga blocks. We want 6 of them that are the same. So I usually just pour out a bunch because there's always going to be some bad ones. Now, you can paint this first or last. Ideally, you want to use wood glue on raw wood because it's made to activate some way with the wood, okay? So you will get a better bond if you use it on raw wood. So typically I will put it together and then paint it after. If that's too hard for you to do, you can do it on the painted wood, but maybe just sand it a little bit first. So we're going to do it raw. That's why I'm not painting it first. This is so warpy. Ideally, guys, have a flat surface. My surface is anything but flat, but we're going to try to work with it. I think I'll be okay because I'm going to work mostly on this board. So what you want is 6 pieces that look similar. Now, these are going to have all kinds of weird stripes, and if that doesn't bother you, if they all look different, don't worry about it. I like them to be similar. And you want to make sure that they match up and they're even. Every now and then you'll get one that's just weird and not even. And if it's really high, you can sand it, but I try to just make life easier and not have one that's weird. So I don't have to deal with that. That's better. So you want 6 of them. This one's weird. I'm being picky. You don't have to be this picky, guys. All right. So 6 of them that are relatively even. Okay. And then you want to put them in the middle with enough of a gap for your canvas. Okay? And you have to lay it in there and see how much of a gap you need. Now, you don't want this to be tight. If it's too tight, you won't be able to get it in there. Okay? So just kind of get an idea of what that gap is. I think it's like 1/8 of an inch for this particular thing is what seems to work. Yeah, about 1/8 of an inch for this. If it ends up being too tight, you can sand it afterwards by sticking a piece of sandpaper in there and going back and forth, but it's not ideal to do it that way. I'm trying to get this centered. And I'm just eyeing this. If you want to be more exact, you can measure all your sides and all that, but I'm not doing that. I'm just going to eye it and try to get it about where I want it. Trying to make sure they're at least flush on this side, and that one side's not down further. Like this one's turning just slightly. Okay, you want a nice straight line. You can kind of look at it from different angles and see if it looks straight. And then once you get it to where you like it, and you think it looks straight, and you think your gap is the right size, you can kind of just test your gap and make sure. I want it just slightly closer than that. Not too much, just a fraction. So I like it to be snug, but not so tight I can't get the canvas in there. Does that make sense? And when I paint it and stuff, the wood might swell a little bit, so it will probably get slightly tighter. Now at this point, what I want to do is just hold these in place and draw a line around them. So you got to kind of figure out how you're going to do that. I'm just going to try to tape it and hope I can get them to not move. I've tried holding them and it's a little tricky to hold them. So I'm just going to try to see it moved. All right, I'm not going to do that because I can't see what it's doing underneath, guys. All right, we're just going to hold them. It is tricky though. So once you got them where you want them, let's just look further. It does look a little further, doesn't it? I'm being really picky. Okay, then you can draw a line with a pencil or chalk pencil or something. Let's see if I can find a chalk pencil. Here's a chalk pencil. A chalk pencil will be activated by the paint I put on and should disappear. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it. So I'm just going to use that so that I know where to put these. Okay, and I'm going to turn it very carefully. Make sure this one's straight. And draw 2 lines. You really only need the 2 on the outside. Because if you stop it right where it is, you'll know where to stop. Okay? And then I'm going to glue these down. Okay? So I'm using Type Bond 2 premium wood glue. It's a great wood glue. Any wood glue is probably fine. This is what I'm going to use. And what I'm going to do is just pick up each one, and I'm going to put a little bit on the bottom. It does not take much. You don't want to ooze in a lot, because if it oozes too much, it'll cause problems. And I'm going to put a little bit on the end, just a little. So like I said, it'll spread and ooze. We don't want it oozing so much that it makes a mess. I'll line this up with my line. Remember, you're just inside that line because it always marks a little away from it. So put that down. Clean the glue off my finger. And we'll do the next one. Now this one, I've already got glue on the other side, so I don't really need glue there. This dries, it doesn't dry super fast. It dries fast, but not so fast that I don't have time to work with this. Okay, line that one up. But it does hold very well. And I'm just trying to make sure it's as straight as I can get it. That's kind of the key with this little project, is keeping it straight. Now, if you don't want to use Jenga blocks, guys, you can totally just use a piece of straight wood that you might have that's the right size. I mean, if you work in a lot of wood, you may have scrap wood laying around the right size. You don't need glue on this side. You can just go up a little bit there. I only want glue where they touch, so we don't need it there. All right. I'm a little bit off. Now, because I am off and this wood glue dries slow, I'm going to slide that over. I'm just sliding the whole thing. I didn't get my first one down. Maybe you should draw your inline, because if you're like me and you get it crooked, then you're going to have to move the whole thing. But like I said, it gives you a little bit of time, so you're fine. All right, I'm going to turn it around. Bring these over here. Actually, I'm going to spin them because they were the other way. Not that it really matters, but it's probably fine. All right, same thing. Now with this last piece, you might want to put something flat. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to put this on here. Try to get it where I think it needs to go. And then what you can do is just take one of your other blocks and just kind of push it. That'll line that up. Okay, and you can double check that it's still fitting. No, actually that's a little too loose. So that's a good reason to double check. If it's a little too loose, pull it in some. You want it to be snug. There's a fine line between snug and too snug. My last one, I ended up having to sand it because it was too snug, so I had to sand it a bit. But it wasn't super difficult or anything, but it is something to keep in mind. Let's straighten these up. The dry time isn't so fast that you don't have time to move, which is awesome. So I'm looking at it from this angle because I can tell if it's straight easier than I can from this angle. If you look at it down like that, you can see the line better. Okay, a little bit of glue there, maybe just a drop there. It doesn't take much glue. Be surprised how little it takes. All right, I'll stick that one down. And then we're just, before that, this one's probably almost dry, but the second one, I probably still have a little bit of leeway, so I'm just going to double check. That's feeling pretty good. Like I said, it might swell a little bit when I paint it. So, and paint will add just a fraction of thickness to it. Not much, but a fraction. All right, see, then you just let that dry. Okay, and that's our little stand. It'll dry relatively fast, maybe 15-20 minutes it seems to dry. Okay, and then once it's completely dry, if you have any lips or anything, edges that you want, you can sand it. It'll hold up to sanding just fine, and you can sand all this and give it a nice sanding. Okay, and then you just paint it. All right, so I have one that's already painted. I can't paint this one because it's wet. So here's one that's already painted, and I chose to use green, the same sap green I used on the other thing. And you can just brush it on there, paint it, and it's a cute little holder. Okay, it's very easy to paint. And you can brush it. You can even use just a sponge to paint it and just wipe it on with the sponge. That works nicely too with the wood. However you want. I think that's probably what I did. I tend to use a sponge when I paint my wood. I like the way it goes on better. Here, I'll show you on this Jenga block. Let me find my paint. Just going to do this one Jenga block. If I can get the paint out. Like I said, it's almost empty. Oh my goodness. There's some in there, it's just not coming out. Okay, there. So this sponge isn't the best for this. I tend to use one without these little raised areas, but I can make it work. All right, so you just dip it in your paint, and then you just brush it on, okay? Super quick and easy. And by doing it this way with a sponge, you get the grain to show still. Okay, so I'll paint that whole thing just like that. Okay, put that in water. All right, so that's all you got to do. Clean my fingers. And then I'll show you how that looks. Okay, so this is the first one that I did last night with the Lucky Latte. Just a wee bit Irish and Irish coffee. And then you just stand them in there. And you have a cute little stand and a holder. Isn't that cute? Okay, and this is, it's just snug enough to work. And if you feel it's really tight and you can't get it in there, like I said, you can take a little piece of sandpaper like this, and you can sand inside there. Now you might want to repaint it afterwards, but you can sand in there and loosen it up a little bit if you need to. You can also use a little bit of beeswax inside there. I did put a little bit in mine. And to get it in there, because my beeswax is really thick, if you have a thinner piece, it's not an issue. But to get it in there, I just took, trying to find it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. I just took my little spatula thingy, and I just took off a little bit of the beeswax, and then I just squished it in there and spread it out on the edges, like that. And it just gives you, you can coat this whole thing in beeswax if you want, and it would be waterproof. But it just makes it go in a little smoother if it's really super tight. This one's not tight anymore, but it was when I started. All right, so that is our project. I get these in the sewing section, these little beeswax things. They're for threading, waxing your thread. I get them at Hobby Lobby. So we have that one. And then we have this one. And we have this one. This canvas is thicker. See how tight that's tight. So your canvases are not all quite created equal. But that's fine. It still goes in. Like I said, if it wasn't going in smoothly, you can sand the back of the canvas a little bit if you need to, but it's not a big deal. And like I said, you could also paint the back of the canvas. Or you could put some pretty paper on it if you wanted it to look more decorative. You could totally just cover that with the pretty paper. Let me see if I have something. We got a little bit of time before I absolutely have to be off. Let me see what I have. I just wanted to give you all an option. So that's the top. I got it upside down. Not that it's a big deal. I never look at the back of these. I had like a, let me see if I had a themed one here. I know I did. I feel like I had a themed. I'm not sure if there's a St. Patty's in it, but there might be. I'm trying to find it. That's not it. That's not it. Where are you hiding? Is that it? No, that's sunflowers. Hold on. I have grass, but I don't want grass. All right, I don't know where my themed one is. Good question. I know I had a pack of paper that was like all the seasons. Let me see what I can find that might look good. These are 6 by 6. These are dark. I think I have a bright one in here. What's in this? Very bright. Sunflowers, suns. I don't have any St. Patty's ones. No, no. Definitely not Valentine. You could stencil your own paper and just stencil it on there. I'll put something on there. Maybe I'll just use the one with the writing if it's still in there. Let me see if it's still in there. Oh, these are thick. I'm gonna see if I can reach my, I have a Tattered and Worn and a Theodosia square, and I apologize if I'm taking too long to find my paper. Hold on, let me put my mic down because I can't reach it. I know I had some paper, guys. Alright, let's see. Tattered and Worn, Theodosia square, what's a good one? Sorry, I'm talking off camera right now. I'm just trying to find a nice bright color. You don't have to put anything on the back, but if you're see the back of it, it's kind of nice. Okay, bye, Angela. It's kind of nice to have something on the back. So I'm just going to show you how to do it real quick. Could use that. That's not bad. That's pretty. Let's use this. Alright, we're just going to use this. So that is a Tattered and Worn pack by Paper Studio, Hobby Lobby. I'm just going to zoom back out before I forget. So we're just going to cut this to fit. Now, you can just lay it out like this if you want to be quick and easy about it, because why not? Or you can just measure it and cut it 6 by 6. Your choice. But we're going to take the quick and easy way. If I can see that line. Yeah, I can see it. Okay. All right, I'll just cut all the way down. I'll use it for something. And now I went just a little bit smaller than 6 by 6. So hopefully I can not be completely to the edge. If I'm not, then I'll go a little bit. Oh, I didn't. Was that other canvas bigger? Which one did I use? This one? No, I just measured really bad. Okay, that's fine. Well, we're going to trim off a little bit extra because I don't want it quite to the edge. So I kind of messed up there. That's fine. We're just going to hit this edge and this edge. I'm trying to stay like a 1/16 of an inch in, ideally. Now this goes any direction, so I do not have to worry about direction, which is always nice. This pattern on this paper. If you have a directional paper, then do make sure that you're watching that when you apply it, or you will be sad. Bye, Dawn. There's not that much left. I just want to put this paper on here and we will be good to go. So I'm just going to glue it on there. I'm not going to use this wood glue though. You could use a PVA glue, you could use Elmer's glue, you could use tacky glue, you could use your art glitter glue, whatever glue you want, guys. Anything's going to hold this. We're just going to put a little bit of glue on here. It's already got a paper surface to most of it anyway. And we're just going to pretty up the back of this. Do make sure that wherever the bottom is, oops, this side, that you do have a nice coat there, especially because it's got to go in and out of your thing. You don't want to be having any issues with that edge. As long as you have it glued down there good, it will be fine. So there you go. Now it's a lot cleaner looking. You could even paint just the edge there. I'd do it probably before I put the paper down, but you don't have to. It looks fine. Let it dry thoroughly, ideally, before you put it in your stand, like I said, and just make sure that this edge is glued nice and well and you won't have any issues. Okay? This isn't super tight, so it might add a little bit of thickness to it, so keep that in mind. But I think it'll be fine. Like I said, if you really get desperate, you can sand it. But now we've got a back that's not so so ugly if we're looking at it from all angles on our table or our stand or wherever we're looking at it, okay? So that is our project. I hope y'all enjoyed that. It's pretty simple and can make this type of a design with just about anything. Let me see if I can get this to stand up just a little bit. I don't think I can do it. I don't have anything that I can lay it on. How about that? Nope. I give up. We're just going to lay it down. Y'all get the idea, right? All right. Remember to use my code ARTROOM if you need to purchase anything. And that is our live for today. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. We are working on our bluebird painting. And then Friday we're working on our vintage Paris journal. All right, guys. Y'all take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.